deep inside a narrow underwater cave system within a sinkhole. These three friends dared to test their skills at one of the world's deadliest diving sites. What began as a thrilling underwater adventure ended up in absolute tragedy. However, only one made it back to their predetermined meeting spot, and not without severe consequences. On Saturday, October 15th, 2016, while diving in the Eagle's Nest Sinkhole, located at the Chassahowitzka Wildlife Management Area in Hernando County, Florida, the two experienced cave divers, RittenMeyer and Patrick Peacock, along with their friend Justin Blakely, dove down to explore the underwater cavern deep beneath the surface. The trio descended to a depth of 50 feet or 15 meters to reach the entrance of the cave system. Inside, the network of tunnels stretches over a mile long or 1.6 kilometers, while reaching depths exceeding 300 feet or 91 meters below ground, filled with diverse marine life. Due to safety concerns, locals have been trying to shut down the cave given its dangerous nature, prompting officials to cover the wooded path along the area to reach the site with warning signs. Despite disregarding the signs above water, they proceeded to ignore another one prominently displayed at the cave's underwater entrance, featuring the Grim Reaper. The experienced divers were well prepared and fully aware of the risks involved. However, despite their efforts, their thrilling underwater adventure would soon become a nightmare. The previous day, RittenMeyer and Peacock visited the site to set up safety measures. They placed a series of backup diving cylinders, known as bailout bottles, along the tunnel walls of the cave. These were positioned at depths of 20 feet, 70 feet, and 120 feet, but no deeper. Bailout bottles are filled with gas mixes that can only be used at the specific depth to which the mix has been adjusted. These mixes typically contain various concentrations of oxygen and nitrogen, and sometimes helium, depending on the depth. The tunnels inside Eagle's Nest are vast and intricate, making it easy to get lost or separated. The cave consists of 3 distinct tunnel systems, combined together containing at least 6 dozen rooms. First, the divers swim to the right, heading down the upstream tunnel. Their first stop is the Crevice Cave. From there, they enter their first room, known as Randy's Room, where the walls are multicolored with layers of clay formed over thousands of years. Next, they reach the largest room in Eagle's Nest, aptly named the Super Room, which is said to be the size of an aircraft hangar. However, Peacock and RittenMeyer sought a greater challenge and started venturing towards the downstream tunnel, which was in the opposite direction. With Blakely being the most inexperienced diver and aware of Eagle's Nest's dangerous reputation, he was to remain closer to the surface. During their planning, they had agreed on a meeting point near the surface to regroup if things went south. Additionally, they had agreed to meet there at 3 p.m. once they concluded their dive. Nevertheless, their vast experience was about to be put to the ultimate test. The divers were well equipped with underwater scooters, a backup scooter, and closed-circuit rebreathers, CCR for short. Unlike open-circuit systems that release exhaled gas into the water, CCRs recycle exhaled gas by filtering out carbon dioxide and calibrating the gas mixture automatically to maintain a safe, partial pressure of oxygen, allowing for extended dive times and less sediment disturbance, leading to better visibility underwater. As they were going through the downstream tunnel, they checked their diving computer for the current depth and time. It is now 2 p.m., and the pair has an hour before they're supposed to return to the meeting point and regroup with Blakely. With only an hour to spare, they plan to traverse John's Pocket, followed by Jim's Room, the Half Moon Room, and, at the very end of the tunnel, the Room of Dreams. However, before continuing, they must first squeeze their way through one of the narrowest and deepest parts of the entire cave system, a passageway reaching a depth of 310 feet or 94 meters called the Pit. It is one of the deepest sections of any underwater cave in the United States. Its low visibility and many pathways adds to its complexity. RittenMeyer and Peacock arrive at the narrow passage 43 minutes after first entering the water. While starting to squeeze their way through the passage, they are now at a depth of about 260 feet or 79 meters. However, 3 minutes later, after being unable to proceed through, they turn around and come back out. RittenMeyer and Peacock spend 6 minutes floating outside the entrance, seemingly planning their next move. Then, they re-enter the passage for a second time. This time, one of them successfully makes it through. The other, either RittenMeyer or Peacock, fails again. But whoever made it through the passage now turns around and heads back into it from the other direction to look for the other diver. Suddenly, something goes wrong. Peacock quickly starts removing his diving equipment, while RittenMeyer loses his headlight. Now plunged into darkness, RittenMeyer fails to deploy any backup lights. Peacock ends up with almost no gear, wearing only his mask, suit, and fins. Then, at 61 minutes into their dive, one of the divers abandons his functional rebreather and a full personal bailout bottle. Despite having remaining oxygen in his rebreather, this diver's onboard diluent bottle was empty, which is a cylinder that contains a gas mixture used to dilute the oxygen in the rebreather's breathing loop. Now, the diver resorts to using his inflation bottle for emergency air. However, this bottle is intended for buoyancy control and is not suitable for breathing at that depth. With their rendezvous window now closing in, Blakely started heading towards the meeting point. It is now 3 p.m., and after waiting several minutes, Peacock and RittenMeyer still haven't returned. Blakely swims up to the surface, and a few minutes later, he swims back down to check again. But there is still no sign of them. Blakely repeats this process over and over again for several hours. By 6 p.m., 3 hours after they were supposed to meet, he dials 911. The Hernando County Sheriff's Office receives a call from a distressed diver who's lost contact with his 2 diving partners. Rescuers are shocked to learn where the call is coming from. Since 1981, Eagle's Nest has claimed the lives of at least 10 divers. Authorities travel across miles of dirt roads through the Chassahowitzka Wildlife Management Area, which is only traversable via the use of 4-wheel drive vehicles. With the daylight fading quickly, they find Justin Blakely at the surface, alone with his diving gear. John Bernot and his friend Charlie Roberson, a Navy veteran and world record-holding diver, are the first to enter the water at 11 p.m. They begin their search in the upstream tunnel, only finding the untouched, staged bailout bottles. At 3:30 a.m., Bernot and Robertson resurface. They've searched the upstream tunnel and the Lockwood Tunnel, which runs perpendicular to the downstream tunnel, with no luck. At 3:45 a.m., a second search team enters the water. This team consists of an Olympic gold medalist diver named Ted McCoy and a firefighter/paramedic named A.J. Gonzalez. The pair head into a part of Eagle's Nest that the previous team hadn't managed to explore, the downstream tunnel. Almost immediately, they find what they're looking for. Patrick Peacock and Chris RittenMeyer's bodies are found floating near each other on the exit side of the pit, confirming they are deceased to the rescue divers. According to Florida law, they must treat their discovery as a crime scene. McCoy and Gonzalez spend the next 45 minutes analyzing the scene and recording data before returning to the surface. As dawn breaks, news crews have surrounded Eagle's Nest, and rescue workers now face the daunting task of recovering the 2 bodies while fending off reporters who are all trying to figure out what happened. Authorities don't yet have an answer. By recovering the bodies and examining the evidence, they hope to unravel the mystery. But what they uncover will ultimately raise more questions. The recovery operation is dangerous and time-consuming. Eventually, both RittenMeyer and Peacock are extracted from the sinkhole. Pronounced dead on the scene, their bodies are transported to the Hernando County Coroner's Office. As medical examiners work to determine the cause of death, rescue divers revisit the sinkhole to gather evidence. Their primary focus is on locating the missing gear, which could provide crucial insights into what went wrong. With each descent into the pit, rescue divers face the same peril that claimed Patrick Peacock and Chris RittenMeyer. However, despite the risks, they managed to retrieve all the equipment discarded by the 2 divers, with most of it scattered across the pit floor. Experts such as John Bernot and Ted McCoy eagerly inspect the gear, ready to identify any potential issues. Yet, after meticulous examination, not a single piece of faulty equipment is found. Everything was in proper working order at the time of Peacock and RittenMeyer's death. Remarkably, the expert consensus even suggests that the pair had been exceptionally well prepared for Eagle's Nest. The National Speleological Society's report states they did everything right. Looking for answers, they reach out to scuba instructor Ken Sallet, who has been analyzing the data from the dive computer. He provides a detailed account of Peacock and RittenMeyer's movements inside the cave. Yet, even this comprehensive overview fails to yield any substantial explanation. Similarly, the Hernando County Coroner's Office hasn't been able to discover much. Both RittenMeyer and Peacock are determined to have drowned. Yet medical examinations fail to uncover any clues regarding the how or why of their deaths. The story garners considerable attention in the local press and sparks widespread discussion on diving forums. Enthusiasts from around the globe share their theories on how the two highly experienced divers, equipped with fully functional gear and taking all necessary precautions, could still have ended up dead at the bottom of Eagle's Nest. The debate may persist for years. In their 2016 accident records, the National Speleological Society officially lists the cause as unknown. Chairman Joe Satelli concludes the report with the statement, "Sometimes bad things happen to good people for no apparent reason."